Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to JLABTV. I'm JLAB and this is Football Manager 2022, the Youth Academy Challenge Save with Beira-Mar. I may have given up on a few things. I've made 3 tactics from scratch. I say from scratch. I've made 3 tactics using the default tiki-taka formations, and I may have just outright said, you know what, I'm done. I'm giving up. Let's do this instead. And these are the formations. The 5-2-3 formation, it's literally, for most part, what I'm looking at. All the instructions are the same, but I've taken off some bits and pieces. Lower line of engagement. I've kept the trigger press as high as it has been before. We're not going to be... Well, this is honestly the same as it has been before, so that's no surprise there. It's still distribution to centre backs, and we're still going for can I press and hold the shape as well as distribute quickly. But we've lowered a few bits and pieces here. We've got rid of the crosses, so it's mixed crosses. We're allowing the players to dribble a bit more as well. And that's the only thing I've really changed in all these formations, apart from maybe the roles, because we've honestly got nothing to lose. And that's a sign I'm desperate enough to do this. Also, the fact we've got players that can play the back three as well is very useful. I haven't really changed the centre-backs to the right centre-backs or not. That was default. I might change that at some point in the future. I'm just going to say that here and now. I haven't really decided what I want to do with the centre-back positions right now for this, but it's still useful either way. We've got the 4-2-3-1 formation. Again, it's literally the same instructions, but the only difference is there's different positions, different roles. We've got attacking playmaker and a centre midfielder on support there, and inverted wingers. Those are the same. Inverted wingers have always been the same. And then you got the 4-3-3. Again, same instructions, but different formations. I've given up on the Mazzala double because I didn't think it was working for me. And when you look at what's happened in the last couple of games, you're going to see why I've decided to change things up a little bit. It was not going well for me at all. The first game we had was away from home against Loretana, and this is when we were still using our Mazzala formation. We had to think of things a little bit, but Sandova scores the first goal of the game, and it was the only goal of the game. And we won 1-0, despite having just 6 shots on goal and 2 on target. They had 22 shots on goal. And you're starting to realise why. I started to think I might need to tinker my tactic a little bit. It's not working as well. Midfield 3 were really good. And I know that I've got good players here when they are good on their day. And for some reason, I just didn't feel like something was clicking. They also had a goal ruled out the 93rd minute of the game because it was offside. But they were very much the better team here. And the fact we managed to win was a shock to me, honestly. The next game we had was against Costa Perdi, and they had a penalty and they scored inside the 67th minute of the game, 1-0. We did equalise just 2 minutes later, and Tunis finds Sandova. He plays out the Correa, who goes for goal from there, and he scores. So, 1-0, we get a share of the spoils. We actually were the better team in this game, but I can't remember what I did. So, it's slightly awkward when I realise that's the case. So, we changed a few things. Both our wingers again were poor, unfortunately. It's probably the first time they were poor in this game, and it goes to tell me that maybe I've got a decent team when they want to perform. It's just not always performing. Sandova is involved with a goal and an assist in the first 2 games in the league so far, which is promising. What wasn't so promising was going 1-0 down inside 5 minutes against Portland after Cancola scores from the corner. I swear, they're scoring from corners now when not. We had just 3 shots in this game, not on target. They deserve this win. We're quite comfortably the worst team in the game. And the tactic is just not working anymore. Especially when you realise we've got one of the worst teams in the division now. Then we hosted Beira-Mar, and for the first time this season, I absolutely felt outplayed. We finally were lucky to hold on. Hugo Morgado with the finish to make it 1-0. They then make it 2 inside 80 minutes. And then, well, he finds Rui Pedro. Rui Pedro scores 2-0 there. And then they score a third in the 85th minute of the game. And it was this point I was thinking, this is a really good Beira-Mar team. Marquise with the finish. And I knew that at this point, I'm buggered. This is too good of a team. I have never been so outplayed. There were so many highlights in this game, and they were all for Beira-Mar. I think we had just 1 highlight, and it was off target. They had just 4 shots on target, and they scored with 3 of them. And for the first time this season, I absolutely felt outplayed despite having the possession. And I'm thinking to myself, we've got to change something. This is really bad. Apart from Barrett and Correa, everyone was a 6.5 or lower in the team, and even the substitutes, which tells me how bad we were doing today. And I just thought to myself, it's got to change. We've got to change something. But it was this game against Braga's B team that really made me decide I've got to change my tactics and the tinkering the roles a little bit. Because we went to Braga's B team and only drew against 10 men. We had no shots on target in this match. They had 7 shots off target themselves. And we were poor in the first half. But then we got shots in the second half and we just couldn't take our chances. So, for whatever reason, we're struggling this year. And I couldn't figure out what the problem was. And I just thought, you know what? We're going to change something. We're going to change the tactics a little bit. I changed my tactic, and it was even worse than before. Chavez took us on, and they almost beat us, and quite frankly, should have beat us. Luis scores a goal that was ruled out in the 92nd minute of the game. Hugo Sandova gets injured, so that's a massive blow to my chances in the league. And I'm thinking, oh God, Hugo Sandova, how long are you out for? He was out due to a hamstring strain, and he's been out for a few weeks. He's out for another 6 days to 2 weeks. Not doing so well there, and I've gotten in general rehab, but ooh, this is bad. This is really bad. The last game we had was against Nelas, and I'm going to be honest, despite winning 3-0, it didn't feel comfortable. I say that. Oxford scored inside 7 minutes for the opening goal, 1-0 there. And then we managed to make it 2 with Akinde finding Marcio. He finds, well, Batama gets fouled. Oxford scores again to make it 2. 9 minutes in, it's comfortable. And then we scored again in the 83rd minute of the game, or 82nd minute of the game. Julien involved, he's been good in this run of fixtures. He finds Akinde, he finds the back of the net. 3-0, we're looking comfortable. And it's the only game that we really felt comfortable. And even then, they had 12 shots. So, for whatever reason, we're not doing as well as we want to be. And I just don't feel comfortable with the side right now. And honestly, I'm going to be very blunt and say this. If we get relegated, it might not be a bad thing. We're in the 3rd round of the Taça de Portugal, and we have Penafiel, which means we're probably going to be knocked out in this round, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't say it's the end of the world, quite frankly. Look at the league table, we're down in 14th place, with just 6 points in the first 6 matches, 1 win so far. You've also noticed something if you've been keeping up with the goals scored. We've only scored 2 goals in 6 matches so far. We can't score. That's a massive concern for me. That we cannot score. We're taking the Figueres 1932 today, but we've only got 2 goals this year, and they're in the first 2 games. We've not won in 5. We conceded 3 against Belenenses, and ironically enough, if you take away those 3 goals, we're looking at just 2 goals conceded, the 3 goals conceded, if it was just 1 goal conceded. So, an issue there. We've got one of the best defences, again, but we've got easily the worst attack in the division, and we need to fix our attack, and quickly. We're not creating chances, we're not scoring goals, something's broken, we need to fix it, and quickly. Even if we've drawn our last 2 games in a row, we've got no wins in 5. So I'm looking at this formation, I'm looking at the team that we're taking on in Figueres, and I'm thinking, okay, we've got a tactic, potentially, to work with. We look at our last 5 matches, they wanted to go tight marker, force opposition out wide, but I wanted to look at this and I thought, you know what, I want to see what we could do against Figueres. They didn't win their last match. They actually drew 1-1 and I think got beaten. And honestly, if I look at this, I think their most successful formation, and I'm going to look at this now, they struggle against the 4-3-3. We can use that to advance, but they also struggle against the 5-2-3-1. So maybe, just maybe, we have a formation for everything. That again, they're not so great against the 5-2-1-2. But we're going to go for the 4-3-3 right now. They've stuck to their 5-2-3-1 formation consistently. We're going to go for the 4-3-3. We're going to see if it works or not. Because quite frankly, we could be doing this. And if we find out then later, oh, it's not going to work. We're buggered. So I've got to look at every single opponent and see who is the team that will benefit from this the most, you know? And I've got to say, right now, I don't have a lot of confidence. Given that we are also easily the worst team in the division. 300-1. I've survived them worse odds, but the lack of goals, even if it's the cup game, we've got 3 goals, I don't feel comfortable at all. We need more goals. We need to do better than what we're showing right now and quickly because it needs to be something at all. But yeah, Santova's out for another 2 weeks still. Manatore was also injured. He's out. He can only play for about 45 minutes. Lotitiana and La Rosa have just beaten Espinho, so that's another good thing for us. Espinho being Boston still, which means we're going to be 3 points clear of them. But if Figueres win, we're only 1 point clear of the relegation zone, relegation playoffs. We need to avoid losing, and desperately. And also, we need Penafiel to lose to Vazim. Vazim, can you do us a favour? They want me to go for a balanced approach. I'll see what happens partway through. But we're going to go for this lineup today. And we're going to go with Goodin again because he actually was being really good for me this year. despite everything else. Oxford has got 7.23 rating because he got 2 goals in the last match, so there's a fact there. We've gone for a poacher, which may seem like a stupid idea, but I feel like we need someone to actually attack the lines. We've taken off less dribbling, and my thinking is, even if we're holding our shape, we can still hit them on the counter potentially if we needed to. Despite having a lower line of engagement, having a shorter passing and lower tempo thing, I think we can work for that. And I've been trying to figure out what I can work with here. So fullbacks and support, I think wingbacks were a bit too aggressive, and it was causing us problems. I know Laredo being a super keeper on attack is probably not the smartest move I've ever done, but I feel like maybe having it on support as well could actually work in our favour. So having it on support there would be good, but we can have it on attack as well. He takes more risks, which I find is okay anyway. But at the same time, I don't know. We need to work on a few things and work on some ideas. But here we go. Laredo in goal. Goodien in the fullback position. Barreto and Casanova in defence, along with Brian on the other fullback. Barreto starts as the DM, though we do have other players that can come in if we needed him to. We do have the likes of Correa and Alvarez on the pitch right now. Alvarez plays as a ball in the midfielder, which is something I don't really use that often in the save, but I'm doing it now. We've got the 2 inverted wingers because they work together nicely. And we have the poacher up front, which could be a pain. But we're going to see what happens here. Because none of my strikers like to take risk, it seems like. And I thought, you know, let's see what we can do. We have a poacher up front. It's their best roles. We've got nothing to lose. So let's see what we can do in this game, shall we? We've got a chance here. Oxford on the ball. I feel like I've made the changes I needed to make, and it might be working. But here's Oliven's, Breda on the ball. Correa, look at what we're doing right now. It's nice. Goodien on the ball. Despite being a fullback and support, he can come forward if he needs to. His career tackle, penalty taken. Brian would take it. Musa Jr. gone now, meaning we've lost our main penalty taker, but Brian could take it as a fullback. And I know he can score. He got 8 goals, 10 goals in the first season for us. And Brian scores the penalty. We lead 1-0. I'm starting to think that maybe, premature I know, very premature I know, but maybe, just maybe, we could be looking like a very good team if we get these tactics correct. We just need to make sure we do it, you know? So half time is just 1-0. It's not ideal that we've conceded a few shots, but I am having to make some changes. We did have an issue with an injury as well, but I am very happy with this. It feels like we've actually taken note of the opposition. They're using the data hub for once. Antonio's actually had a 6.7 before he had to come off with an injury, which is a knee injury, which is not ideal, but Pinto's also been good at 6.9, so maybe, just maybe, the poacher may work for us. I know, poacher in a possession game is not the smartest move in the world, but I think it could be working. We just need to make sure we do this properly, you know? So let's see how we do in the second half. So we do win! No highlights in the second half, I apologise for that. But I think even though we just won for a penalty and only a penalty, this was successful enough that we can actually isolate this team and win. I know they were not exactly great themselves being in the relegation playoff zone, but we needed this victory more than I think I realized, because I was incredibly nervous before going into it. I was still making some changes as I was going into the match. So we weren't at our best, but we got the result regardless. And that's the important part. We can pick up these results. A vintage performance, a vintage display. So we're now up to 11th place. We need Vazim to win as well to stop Penavia from getting closer and to allow us to have a 5-point gap over the relegation zone and relegation playoffs. I never realized how desperate I was for this victory. So I would take this 100%. I'd rather take the victory than anything else, especially now that I've ended the 5-game winners run. And yeah, we desperately needed this. We've only got 3 goals this year, so if we can have like a great attack, if we can have a great defense, but not a terrible attack, then it's not the end of the world. And with Sandova potentially coming in as well as a poacher, oh, he could be good. Oh, Akande is also playing for Nigeria's under-20 teams, which is very useful for me. And he's now considered a 3-star player, so yes, he's inconsistent, but the squad is also getting better and better as we go. And he's got 10 finishing. He could be a striker for me as advanced forward or a poacher, so maybe, just maybe, we have a good play in our hands. But we'll get to see what happens with Vazin and go on from there, so I'll see in a bit. And Vazin did beat Penavia, which is very, very useful. And we are currently 5 points clear of the relegation playoffs. I've never really had to do this. I literally had to go and think to myself, what could I do to tinker my tactics properly? We have Penavia in the next match in the cup. I won't do that. What we're going to do is come back for Okay, I might be back for... I'm probably back for the STRL game, because that tends to be when the youth intake preview turns up. So we'll have a load of games between now and then. But what I'm hopeful is going to be the case is we'll have a decent season, and that maybe my fear... I just realised we've got 4 clean sheets in a row. It's just a shame, actually, when I talk about clean sheets, that despite the fact he's ended his promise, he still is not going to sign for me. We're going to lose the way on a free transfer. There's no question about it. I think what I'm going to do, if we secure survival, Lorea's going to be dropped from the first team, and we're going to go from there. Because we're losing it this year. There's no question about it. And I think between Pereira and Saraiva, we've got 2 talents that can come in and maybe do something. They're not amazing right now, but I'll still rather trust them to do something and come in. Also, he's made 79 appearances and conceded just 67 goals. That's how good Lorea's been for us. Ridiculous, isn't it? But either way, I'm going to end this here. I hope you guys have enjoyed yourselves. I hope you guys will like and share this video, and that you also subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a lot. But either way, until next time, goodbye, and well, good night.